Citroen C3 is a comfortable and user-friendly supermini geared towards the needs of family buyers. This first generation model dates back to 2002, so there are fresher and larger rivals, but low running costs and value for money pricing still make it a viable choice. With the three-door C2 taking care of the sporty end of the supermini sector for Citroen, that leaves the five-door C3 here able to appeal on a more homely, family-focused level. Through this approach, the French maker aims to attract supermini buyers of all persuasions. On the road, the C3 is a comfortable car rather than an exciting one. Now, levels of grip and body control through the corners could both be improved, but ride quality is good and noise in the cabin is rarely intrusive. Now, as this model's general disinterest in exploring its sporty side would lead you to expect, the range has been assembled with frugality rather than neck-snapping performance in mind. All of the C3's engines are proven units and reliability is unlikely to be an issue. Now, although the 1.1, 1.4 and 1.6 litre petrol power plants are nothing special in technical terms, the 1.4 and 1.6 litre HDI diesels are first rate and produce a driving experience with more zest than the BHP figures or the 1.4 litre version's 13.4 seconds 0 to 60 sprint time would lead you to believe. Now, the reason for that is torque or pulling power. Quite simply, these engines have an abundance of it, with the 1.4 litre HDI diesel offering more pulling power at tick-over urban speeds than the equivalent 1.4 litre petrol does when you're revving it quite hard. Now that means you don't have to row the car along with a gear lever in congested urban motoring. If you didn't know how much success Citroen had had in building family-friendly people carriers, then you could probably guess the fact from a seat in the C3's cabin. The rotund, friendly lines help maximise the space in the interior, and the domed roof creates ample headroom, facilitating the high MPV-style driving position. All that means that there's great all-round visibility too. You certainly sit more upright in the C3 than in some other superminis. And that's just as well because the C3 struggles to accommodate 3 adults across the back seat for anything other than short journeys. But then how many superminis do you see transporting 5 adults? Exactly. There's only so much luggage room you can cram into a car that measures just 3,850 millimetres in length. What you've got is 282 litres of space with the seats in place and 1,160 litres with the rear bench folded. Still, at least the space that is on offer, you can well use it. You've got this modular board system that rather cleverly gives you a 2-tier level to the boot. And what that enables you to do is to separate sharp or hard items from soft, clean from grubby, and stop items from racing across the load bay during spirited cornering. The light and airy cabin has enough bins, cubbies and boxes to make locating a carelessly stowed bunch of keys the work of several minutes. Safety features borrowed from the larger C5 include intermittent wipers that are speed sensing and rain sensing in their actuation. You've also got hazard lights that deploy automatically under extreme braking, anti-lock brakes with electronic brake distribution so the effectiveness is maximised, and electronic brake assist so that they give you a bit more pressure in an emergency stop. There's also an extensive package of pedestrian safety features should you be unfortunate enough to hit something soft. Asking prices for the C3 tend to range between £9,000 and about £13,000, that top figure having been reduced in recent times as Citroen deleted the priciest versions that no one was buying. Now, delete the likely discount that you'll get off that figure from your friendly local dealer, and you'd expect the stripped out basics and something very low tech. And you'd be wrong. Technical range highlights include the clever stop and start system that you get on the 1.4 litre petrol model that switches the engine off in stop-start urban traffic. This variant also comes with the semi-automatic sensor drive gearbox that gives you paddles behind the steering wheel so you can flip up and down the gears like the F1 drivers do, something that seems very un-Citroen C3 like. All derivatives come with a CD stereo, electric front windows and remote central locking, as well as ABS with brake assist and twin front airbags. Now that's not a bad haul considering the prices being asked, and keep your eyes peeled for various special edition models which up the value quotient still further. Also bear in mind that Citroen dealers are more conducive than most to a spot of haggling. The C3 should prove a very affordable Super Mini to run. The basic mechanicals are sound and most of the niggling faults have been ironed out by now. Owners can also expect good returns from the engine bay, depending on what they've had installed, of course. The 1.4 litre HDI manages 64 miles to the gallon on the combined cycle and returns CO2 emissions of just 115 grams per kilometre. Mind you, the 1.6 HDI proves that you don't have to pay too heavily for extra performance. It offers 92 brake horsepower, but returns the same combined fuel economy figure at the pumps, and the CO2 figure rises to just 118 grams per kilometre. If you go for petrol, the 1.1 litre unit will deliver you 47 miles to the gallon on the combined cycle, and the stop and start version will manage nearly 50 miles to the gallon. If you're looking to cut costs, the C3 stop and start version is an interesting choice. Now, Citroen pioneered stop and start technology on the UK market, only for it to be widely adopted by other marques. The stop and start C3 model adopts the 1.4 litre petrol engine and combines it with Citroen's clever semi-automatic sensor drive transmission and a clever gizmo that stops the engine whenever you're in urban congested traffic. Now that means that when your C3 is stopped at the lights, like we are now, or you're in urban traffic, you're in a jam, it's not using any wasted fuel. Now what that's meant is a 15% reduction in urban fuel consumption and a 6% reduction on the combined cycle. If all you want to do is get from A to B as comfortably and cheaply as possible, then Citroen C3 is still appealing. It offers sensible, no-nonsense family transport, leaving its C2 three-door sibling to appeal to buyers' sporting sensibilities. It's no longer one of the larger cars in its class, but practically minded buyers will appreciate the economical engine range and the highly competitive pricing. The mechanicals are proven to be reliable too, and although the cabin quality isn't exactly cutting edge, the value proposition certainly is. In these difficult economic times, that could be exactly what matters.